So anyone who watched our last video knows that we built a website to show long distance strikes off of distance and speed in an attempt to show some stats that you would love to know about your favorite team, players, etc. With a lot of these stats shown on our leaderboards over here. Since that video, we have made a few changes like adding in goal POVs where you can see all the submitted goals, including knuckleballs, curve, trajectory, etc. So that strikes like Drogba's against Bolton back in 2011 can be visualized as you were Drogba, or visualized in third person. But that's not what we want to get into today. Another reason we built this site was to prove and disprove data that we've already been told. Like, was Ronny Hébereson's strike actually 211 kilometers an hour? How did they derive that? As it stands, we currently display all goals with using average speed, derived by frame data using the contact point of the shot and the entry of when it went into the net. Our real to scale pitch map shows the actual distance, so in reality the average speed is calculated by distance over time, with a small margin of error just in case the wrong frames are chosen. Now that we have uploaded every single goal from this World Cup so far from outside the box, sometimes we will see that FIFA has graphics on the ball's maximum speed on some of the players' goals, and with these graphics we see that the ball is always slowing down after leaving the player's foot. This is called drag. Drag can be showed on some of the longer distance strikes on our site. When you take a look at some of the shots closer, you can see higher speeds than the ones that are scored from the halfway line, for example. Because we only use average speed, we're seeing these lower numbers, but we never actually see the peak speed until FIFA encourages us to do so. Until the drag coefficient from NASA, which gives us an equation for the drag on a football in order to help us calculate an estimated top speed. Using this, we plug in 4 variables: the drag coefficient of a football, which is 0.25, sourced directly from NASA, the density of air at sea level, the cross-sectional area of a ball based on FIFA's official circumference spec, and the ball's weight within FIFA's official range. Going back to Ronny's famous 211 km/h strike, I always thought to myself, was this the max speed? Was this the average speed? How did they calculate this back in 2006? And more importantly, does 211 kilometers make sense when this is what a 103 km/h strike looks like? And here's the speed when we double it. Using a sample of 54 numbers on our website, we plotted data into a bell curve. Let me reiterate this. We plotted 55 goals in total, 54 derived from our website, and one of them being Ronny's strike over here. If you know anything about statistics, you'll know that the bell curve, the mean, the average number would be around the center over here, with some random outliers, a few standard deviations away from the center. Outliers being on the left being chip shots, shots that move very slow before entering the net, etc. And then the shots on the right being some of the harder shots that we see. But when you notice one little thing, why is Ronny's strike here? And this is where critical thinking can come in. Does it make sense that Ronny shoots the ball about 80 kilometers an hour harder than the fastest shooters on the planet? Even the fastest man of all time, while he's faster than everyone, and it's pretty obvious on a 100-meter sprint. The difference between Usain Bolt and Johan Blake is 110 milliseconds. I know football is not track, but if we were relating it to track, Usain Bolt's time, Ronny's 211 km strike would be equivalent to probably Usain Bolt running a 7. Is it possible? I don't think so. Having that much of an outlier over players like Ibrahimovic, Ronaldo, Drogba, Roberto Carlos, Steven Gerrard, you name it, would be quite the statistical anomaly. And to me, something this far off the bell curve does not make any sense at all. Because the ball is barely visible in the actual video, we use approximations on where Ronny was when the ball released his foot. We use YouTube's analytics to show that this was actually 30 frames per second, and we approximated when the ball entered the net because you can't see the ball, according to the goalie's jump off of the replay. So when the goalie hits his peak of the jump, we know that the ball hits the crossbar and enters the net. So the peak of his jump was approximately right here. So this is where we came up with the contact point, and then knowing where the goalie hit his peak of the jump, we use this as the entry point, and from this, using this on 30 frames per second, we calculated that this ball went in at 14 frames at 145 kilometers an hour from 20.6 yards out. Now keep in mind that this is the average speed. This is not the peak speed. Our site is built in with the NASA equation that I mentioned a little bit earlier to estimate the max speed at 165 kilometers per hour. Keep in mind, if you chose the wrong frames, that this shot went in so fast at 30 frames per second that if you chose the wrong frame, there is a margin of error of 10 kilometers per hour. So this could be maybe 155, this could be 135, to which the max speed could change. But given the data that we have available on calculating this off of the distance that the ball traveled from this side of the field to the far post at 0.467 seconds, using this data, we derived that the average speed was 145 kilometers an hour. Yes, we could be off by about 10 kilometers per hour. Using our new max speed calculation from NASA and FIFA's ball specifications, we can derive that the shot speed is about 165 kilometers per hour when it left Ronny's foot, and not the quoted 211 kilometers per hour. So this does beg the question, what technology was used back in 2006 to calculate this shot? Was it the average speed? Was this the max speed? This is why we built Longshot. If you would like to find out more statistics on your favorite player, click on the link in the description. If you'd like to upload goals from your favorite player, watch this video and see how you can upload them. Thank you all for watching.